Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. In this edition, we'll be talking about another home defeat. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 2. We are currently live on YouTube, on X, on Facebook and Twitch. So please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Now, as per usual, I've got three very special guests with me, channel regulars. We've got Ricky Norwood back with us. Ricky, how are you?
I am good, my friend. I'm good. Always an honor and a pleasure to be on, win, lose, or draw. So I'm happy to jump in. I'm happy to get into it. Let's break it down. Let's get the therapy started.
Also back with us as radio presenter from Dublin's Q102 is Johnny Bowe. Johnny, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay, but, you know, in terms of, you know, the football and all that, I'm not great. So, look, we'll talk about it. We'll try and look at the positives and see where we are in about 90 minutes' time.
And also back with us is Craig Dearman. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, Chris. Yeah, I was hoping for something a bit better than that today, but yeah, I'm not surprised the game ended how it did with the injuries and situation we're in. So yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it indeed. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 2. It started off also well. Dominic Solanke putting Spurs 1-0 up after 4 minutes. 2 minutes later, Anthony Gordon equalised. And then Isak got the winner in the 38th minute. Ange Postecoglou has said things weren't equal in the game. I'm sure that we're going to get into this. Ange Postecoglou also said, hugely proud of the boys, shattered the boys didn't get the rewards that they deserved. Our football today was outstanding. We deserved to win. And on another day, we would have won. He then went on to say, I've never lacked confidence. I get the results aren't there. And I get whether people want to accept the situation we are in. Talking about team selection, he said Radu Dragushin and Archie Gray were bedridden all week. Fraser Forster is still bedridden and is still struggling. On Thursday, we had 11 fit players for training. Talking about no Basuma and no Maddison today in the starting 11, he said we needed running power and were able to use the experience of the guys who came on. Talking about Brandon Austin making his Premier League debut, he said he was great. Everyone was great. Unbelievable. Ange Postecoglou was very happy with the performance today. Now, the league table, Spurs are down to 12th. We now have 24 points from 20 matches. Now, the match facts and stats today, Tottenham Hotspur had 57.1% of the ball to Newcastle's 42.9%. XG, Spurs 0.85 to Newcastle's 1.08. Shots, Spurs 13 to Newcastle's 14. Shots on target, 4 apiece. Total touches inside the opposition box, Spurs 26, Newcastle 27. Goalkeeper saves, Brandon Austin 2, Dubravka 3. Fouls, Spurs 11, Newcastle 15. And corners, Spurs had 9 to Newcastle's 10. Ricky, let's start the show with you. Your thoughts on the game today?
You know what, Chris? Football's a cruel, cruel game. And with everything against us, you know, you would think that after having 6 days off, that we'd have like some revitalization. We'd have maybe a couple of fresh bodies, fresh minds. And, you know, like we get hit with this illness that runs through the club, which kind of was reminiscent of Lasagna Gate to me when I saw the news this morning. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know what else could go wrong for us or what else could go against us. But it's like this club is cursed. It's absolutely mental. But saying all that, I'm so proud of those boys today. And today's game and the way that they played and against all odds, that I saw commitment, I saw will, I saw fight, I saw desire, I saw no crying. They didn't feel sorry for themselves whatsoever. You know, Newcastle were hanging on in that second half. They were playing time-wasting tactics. They took 30 seconds for a throw-on. Do you know what I mean? A time. That's where the added time came on. And I'm happy that we had that amount of added time. But they were hanging on. They were scared of what was happening in that game. You know, with everything against us, I'm just so... it is so unjust. We deserve so much more from that game. You know, even if it was a point today, but we not only that, but we deserved, I felt, to win today against an informed Newcastle side that have been on a roll for a couple of weeks now, and you know, they've got their squad together. They haven't got what we've got right now, and I'm just, you know, when I saw Reguilon coming on in the second half for Dragusin, and I was just like, what's going on here? You know, I'm like, what's happening? Like, where is Spence going? And then to see him at centre back, look, you know, he got away with a couple of like silly turns that turned into fouls, but I'm so proud of him, man. Brandon Austin, so proud of him. You know, yes, that the second goal, you know, really quick move. Unlucky for Dragusin to get that touch and put it into the path of Isaac, but yeah, I thought he stood up to the challenge today. Bergvall stood up to the challenge today. Wanted to take his chance, wanted to take his opportunity. Thought done really well. You know, Archie Gray, with this illness going on, you know, he was phenomenal at centre back today. There's so many good things that happen today. It's just unjust that we come away with nothing, and that's what's going to hurt me, you know. But it gives me more confidence than ever that these boys are behind Ange Postecoglou and the way that we're playing, with the system that we're playing, than anything else before. Than a win in previous weeks. Let me tell you, because, you know, against all odds, they still kept going. They still kept fighting. And those tactics kept us in the game. Those tactics made us all feel like we should have come away with a win today. And what we need is help and bodies. And nothing's changed recently over the past week or couple of weeks that I've been speaking about help and bodies as yet. But let's see what happens. But I'm just disappointed. And I'm really upset that we didn't come away with nothing today, because we deserve so much more.
Ricky, I asked you this question last time. I'm going to ask you again. Are you worried about the league position, 12th, because we haven't won a home Premier League game now for 2 months? Do you think that Ange Postecoglou is in somewhat under pressure at the moment with the amount of defeats that we've had this season, particularly in the Premier League? And when you look overall, I know I'm trying to be hugely positive here. Yes, I agree with a lot of what you've said, but there are a lot of doubters at the moment about Ange Postecoglou. There's a couple of comments in the comment section already saying that you're making excuses for the club, you know, not winning again today, or getting something out.
No, I'll tie. What do you expect? Miracles. We were down to one defender with an 18-year-old playing alongside him for I don't know how long. Do you know what I mean? We've lost your doggy for another 2 months. And what do you expect? Miracles today against an informed side, against Isaac, who's been scoring every week for I don't know how long. What do you expect? And then plus we had Lasagna Gate this morning. Yeah. Like what do you expect me to say? Do you know what I mean? That we expected to win today?
How unlucky are we as a football club, Rick? Because we've not been once, twice, 3 times. It's all the time.
That is not an excuse. That's a recognition. Do you know what I mean? This happens to us all the time. And it like everything is going against us right now. And I'm just like, I'm looking at those boys and the effort that they put in and the chances that we had to come away as winners today, you know, not just drawing the game, but as winners today. I'm just like, oh, come on. Like, we're trying to manage these, 13 players, however many players. What did you just say there? 11 players turn up to training on Thursday. Yeah. Come on, man. Like, come on. Like, I'm not just being delusional. I'm not just backing my team. I'm not just being a happy clapper right now. I'm looking at all of it. And I'm like, do we need to pile any more pressure onto the man that's trying to fix it? Do you know, like, let's look at the tools that he's got. Straight away, he started this season with gaps and not all the tools in the toolbox, but he decided to work with it, go with it. And then the worst storm that we've ever hit before has hit us all at the same time. And he's getting it left, right, and center. Left, right, and center. Is it your training? Is it your way? Change it this, change it that. Like, I just don't think we need to pile any more pressure on him at this present time. What we need is help. You know, with a bit of help, we could have, should have come away as winners today. Yes, of course I am disappointed. Yeah, of course I am sick to my stomach that we lost another game. I am. And I hate being in the second half of the table. I hate being in the bottom half of the table. I can't stand it. But at the same time, it's like you can see that the will and the trying, these boys haven't dropped their heads. They're not sulking about it. They're not feeling sorry for themselves. They're like, all right, cool, let's go again. Postecoglou made great subs at the right time. There were boos in the stadium for taking off Bergvall because he was doing so well. But to bring on Maddison, an experienced player that can change the game at that point, that's the right substitution, as well as bringing on Sonny at that point to just run at him and give as much as he can give for 40 minutes, and as well as bringing on Basuma there to protect a back four that hasn't got no defenders in it. Like and a kid, I say a kid, but a third choice goalkeeper that has never had a Premier League game, that has been here forever. That got bullied left, right, and centre. Dan Burn should have been sent off today, I felt. Do you know what I mean? He should have had at least 2 yellows today. That the first goal that we conceded should never have been conceded, because regardless of whether it's accidental handball or not, the handball led to a goal and gave them an advantage to score. So that goal should never have been scored today. Then you look at Newcastle's tactics in the second half. They were hanging on. They wanted to play it in the corner. And we had Spence and an 18-year-old in defence. They didn't go for it. They could have killed the game off in those 10 minutes. They wasn't looking to kill the game off. They were looking to hold on. They were looking to consolidate. They were looking to go play in the corner. They weren't looking to play football today, which says that they were the ones hanging on. They were scared of us. And what did we have? We had heart, we had fight, we had passion, and we had drive to go there and try and make something happen. It is unfortunate that these boys put in all this effort and get nothing. We have been unlucky all season. There's been many a game. This last month or so, over December, with all these injuries, yes, the results have been very tipsy-turvy. But the beginning of the season, there's been many a game that we didn't deserve to lose or to draw. We were all over them. We were unlucky. Do you know what I mean? And we've been unlucky, and unlucky it should be the motto of Tottenham. Forget today is to do. It should be unlucky.com, because that's all we garner right now. So I'm not just spouting positivity or trying to look to the positive just for positive sake. I'm looking because that's what I saw. If I saw them giving up, I remember when Ericsson wanted to leave, and I loved Ericsson to bits, but boy, like, we kept him for an extra 6 months or whatever it was. And that, to me, do you know what I mean? He down tools at that point. To me, he put in half labored performances. He didn't play a professional performance. It was half labored. You look at Højbjerg when he wanted to leave, professional performance. You look at Dyer when he wanted to leave, professional performance, regardless, up until the last moment. But someone like Ericsson, who kind of was like, nah, I'm over it, and he wanted to get out. I'm not seeing that from these boys. I'm not seeing it. If I did, then I'd be the even more upset, and I'd be calling for everyone's head. But you got to look at it. You got to look at what's going on and go, that ain't an excuse. That's just a damn fact. It's just a fact. Look at the facts before you and then make a judgment. I understand your emotional response is to be disappointed and downhearted and to be negative and to go into yourself and to want to rage at the club for all of the problems that we have and that we've had for years. Yes, I understand it. But come on, man. Goodness gracious.
As per the last podcast, Ricky, there's a lot of people in the comments that agree with your comments, and there's a lot of people that don't. It's very mixed, and the opinions are extremely mixed at the moment in this Tottenham fan base right now. Johnny, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on the game first of all.
Well, I mean, lots have been made of the Spurs injuries, you know, but let's look at the facts today. Newcastle were missing Callum Wilson, Jamal Lascelles, Emil Kraft, Sven Botman, as well as their first choice goalkeeper. You know, they were still able to beat us, and I'm beginning to think Ange Ball is a little flawed. I don't think it's as, you know, great as everyone's making out. You can see in the Scottish Premiership, you get away with it. But you don't get away with it with cagey managers like Eddie Howe and all these other guys. Like, I know the former manager we had, but the Nottingham Forest manager, but these guys are very cagey and they're tactically aware and very astute. I think they're more advanced in their coaching strategy than I think Ange is. I think Ange is just one way. It looks great if you beat Southampton 4-0 or Aston Villa 4-1. But my God, it's very frustrating when you come up against a team that have watched the videos, they have a plan, tactical way of playing, and they just know how to beat us. And there's been a lot of teams this year have done that. Fulham, like, go on, there's loads of teams. It just seems we're losing to teams we used to always beat. And at home, I mean, look at the stats. You know, Spurs recorded 51 points in the Premier League in 2024. That's our worst return in a calendar year since 2008, when we recorded 42 points. And the 24th of August last year was our last clean sheet at home. You know, the stats don't lie. We're conceding too many goals, not just away, but at home. We have a stadium. I visited that stadium. You might remember, Chris, back in October, November time. And we need a team that matches the ambition of that stadium, because that stadium is the best in the world. And at the moment, we don't have a team to match that stadium. And I'm not too sure if Ange is the right guy. I know, and look, there's going to be people on here complaining, and they have a right to. You know, what I'm saying doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean I'm right, but I have to give my opinion the way I see it. I think we're making a lot of excuses for him every time. I wonder if it was another manager, would he still be here? You know, how long can we go on? Are we going to go, they tried hard today, or it looked great, and then we're into relegation zone battle? And we keep saying, look, we're third from bottom. They're still playing great. They gave it 100% today. But we're not getting any results for it. You know, this can only go on for so long. And if we don't get anything from that Liverpool game and we lose the 2 legs against the FA Cup in a couple of days' time, if that doesn't happen, or whenever the second leg is, he'll be gone, because we want a trophy and we're not in the position to win a trophy at the moment. And we won't beat that Liverpool team if we keep playing that way. It's too open. Liverpool will run rings around us. But look, you know, we do have to look at positive. I know that was a bit of a rant, a bit of a moan, but look, I have to say it the way I see it. Doesn't mean I'm right, but the goalkeeper does look good, and he came in there, a young guy, but the defence he has in front of him wouldn't give him confidence, because they're not great. And I think the likes of Eddie Howe, they know. I could hear him in the pre-match press conference. I knew they were going to win. I mean, I was asked in work, what score are you putting down for this game? I put down 2-1 to Newcastle. That's exactly what I had on Superbrew. I put down 2-1. It was 2-1. You know, and it's so predictable now. You can nearly guess. I used to always say 2-1 Spurs or 3-1 Spurs. That's the way I always used to see it at home. But maybe it's at James's Park. Yeah, you might say Newcastle are favourite, but shouldn't be losing these games. I know there's a virus, and it's always an excuse. You can't keep making excuses. The team have to perform, and they're not performing. And ultimately, you can't blame Daniel Levy on this. This is not Daniel Levy's fault. This is the coach. It comes down. The coach picks the team. The coach does the training. We're all doing this. We're all on our jobs during the week. They're at the training ground putting in the work. Why isn't it coming onto the pitch? Why isn't it transferring onto the pitch? You know, it looks great. It's fantastic. All the neutrals say, the best looking team in the Premier League. But we're not getting the results. How much more time can we give this guy? I want it to work. I do like him. You know, I like the style of play, but we're not getting the wins, and we're dropping. If Brentford win, we're falling down further. We're going to get closer to that relegation zone. And then the morale drops, and the players find it very hard to pull themselves out of that. And then we're going to be having different conversations. So something has to change.
Johnny, is the word excuses a little bit unfair? Because as Ricky said, and I completely agree with Ricky, the amount of injuries, suspensions, other issues that we've had at this football club, particularly under Ange Postecoglou. Last season we had a lot of injuries. We had a lot of suspensions. We had players going off on international duty during the Premier League season. And this season, the amount of injuries we've had and how unlucky the club have been this week in terms of the sickness bug. What else could Ange have done today?
Well, look, at the sickness bug, you can't do anything, but possibly the style of play, maybe the training they're doing is causing a lot of those injuries. I mean, I'm not a physiotherapist or a physical therapist. I don't know, but we seem to be getting more than everyone else. And the style of play is very demanding. I mean, it's constantly running. And, I don't know if those players are being dealt with in the physio room. I don't know. I mean, we're not there. But I'm only speculating. Something's not right. Why are we getting so many injuries, But, that has to be asked. So, Ange has to be sorting that one out. That's his job. He has to talk to the physio team about that. But the virus, look, he can't do anything about that. I mean, these things happen. It's winter time, the winter vomiting bugs going around. People pick up things at Christmas, and it happens. But it always seems to be us at the end of the day. But look, I love the style of play, Chris. I do see positives in it, but we're losing games, and you know, are we still in 11th? I don't know. I haven't looked at the table, but you know, there's other teams to play now today at 3 o'clock. You know, I don't know what the halftime scores are, but you know, some of them will be passing us out, and then we're going to drop further, and then you get into really difficult territory, and it starts getting harder then. But look, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're 12th at the moment. I know we'll talk a little bit about the transfer window later. Hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 players in the next couple of weeks. But our next couple of games, of course, we face Liverpool in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday. That's going to be a tough game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then next weekend, we've got Tamworth in the FA Cup. And then we're next in action then in the Premier League, Arsenal away. That is not an easy game. Tough game coming up for Ange Postecoglou in this squad. Let's hope that we get a couple of players that are out injured back as well. Craig, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I think the guys have covered it off well. I can see both sides, you know, about the injuries and the style of play. But to be honest, I thought that second half was actually pretty good. I thought the first half was pretty bad. Dragusin clearly wasn't up to pace. Bit unlucky with the goal, but yeah, it was clear that he wasn't up to speed. That's such an important part as well of our play. That back four's got to be solid, and it's a massive part of how we play. I've said before how much we miss Van der Ven in situations like this, well, in any game really. But like I say, I'm a bit encouraged by the second half. People say I'm probably being too overly positive, but you have got to look at the big picture. Yeah, Newcastle had injuries and other teams get injuries and suspensions and all that, but I didn't think that was the worst performance today. It's clear the players were trying, and clearly the players are still playing for Ange. But the fan base is so split at the moment about what is the right way to proceed. The number one thing I think isn't the right way to proceed is to sack Ange. I just can't see how people are calling out for that, because a manager comes in. What are they going to do with this squad and the state it's in at the moment? We will get these players back and we'll ride out the storm. But you know, that game was always going to be tough today. I had us down to lose today, to be honest. Even though I said the other night what I said, I was on a bit of a high. But looking at the just the things that are going wrong, there's just sheer bad luck at the moment. Like the flu.
Do you agree with Johnny though about all of the injuries? Because I think that's what a lot of fans are homing in on at the moment, Craig. They're saying that a lot of these injuries are caused by the training methods from Ange Postecoglou, the way that we play, the way that we set up. Do you buy into that?
To a degree, yeah. But you got to look at some of the injuries weren't like hamstrings. Some of them are impact injuries. Some of it just bad luck. Like Ramiro's injury, that's nothing to do with the way we play. That was just sheer bad luck. And like I say, the impact injuries, Vicario's injury, that was just bad luck. That was nothing to do with the way we play. That was just a bad back pass from Porro. So you can't take. You can look at it and take each thing in isolation. So, oh, yeah, that's another hamstring, that's another hamstring. But in the Premiership as a whole, a lot of fullbacks, a lot of wingers are being asked to do the same amount of work as our guys are. They are. That's just modern football. It's fast. It's non-stop. Unless you're a team that sits back, and we're not that team. And there's a fair few teams in that league, like Arsenal, City. None of them sit back. So I just think there is an element to the fact that you're going to pick up these sorts of injuries, these muscle injuries. But I don't think it's the full. You're not getting the full picture there. Not for me.
Craig, do you get the frustration from the fans that the squad is not has not got enough depth? Because I felt like there was a lot of frustration even last night. Ange Postecoglou was asked a question in the embargoed press conference saying, do you have any regrets about the summer transfer window? He said absolutely not. He's very happy with the signings that he made in the summer. Should there be more depth? Because when you look at other clubs, you know, other clubs have injuries. I know we've got a lot at the moment, but other clubs have injuries and they seem to carry on, and these players come in and do a job. Yeah. I know we've got a lot of injuries. I know that about the sickness bug. I'm trying to stay very balanced here, but I do see I see points from everyone. And it's funny because walking back to the car, I heard a conversation which I thought was really interesting. One guy said to the other, oh, I thought we were going to lose 4 or 5-0 today. And then the other one said, oh, no, it was really good. We only lost 2-1. And I thought, we're still lost. I honestly don't know how to feel about it, because I completely get Ricky's points about, the amount of players that we've got out. I said in the summer that I felt like we needed to do more in the summer transfer window, but Andrew's defended that. It's really frustrating, isn't it?
It is, and it's clear we've got to do stuff in this window. And we didn't do enough in the summer. We covered that in many a podcast back then. But you've got to look at I just think we're cursed in some ways. We're just unlucky. Van der Ven, Romero, Dragusin, Davies. Not many sides have more than 4 first choice, even really good centre backs, and we've lost all of ours. All of them. We got a right back playing at centre back today in Jed Spence, I thought done reasonably well. Archie Gray, who's not a centre back, he's been playing there for a few games. He's done well again. I just think we've just been unlucky a lot of the time. But I mean, what do you do? Do you go and buy 2 more centre backs, and then once everybody's fit, they're never going to get a look in? I just think it's unlucky. I just think I think they're cursed to a degree. It's just incredible. But clearly, we need more strength. And Dorrington is clearly not ready to play there because he is a centre back, but Ange, for whatever reason, doesn't trust him to play there at the moment. He's had an injury, so he's obviously not getting a look in. So it's just very, very difficult. But I'm not sure what you do. Perhaps we could do one more that can play centre back or left back. I think we all agree with that, and certainly a left back. But then Reguilon come on today. He's clearly not Ange ball ideal, but I didn't think he did badly today. So, there are options there, but is Ange taking the right one sometimes? That's what some people would say, but I'm not really sure what else he could have done today.
It's frustrating and surprising somewhat that someone like Sergio Reguilon is playing 45 minutes for Tottenham in the Premier League in January 2025, isn't it, Ricky? When you think that, Reguilon is a player that you would have had down as a dead cert to leave in a past window, but a dead cert definitely in this window to go because he's out of contract in the summer. And now we're in a position where you think, well, we can't let him go.
But this is the position that we're in right now. I think it reflects, the problems that we're having at the club. That the unwanted man for so long, that's gone out on loan, that's had major injuries. When he was at Atletico Madrid, the majority of the time he was in a hospital bed. Come back from a lot, been on loan at Man United, been on loan everywhere for as many clubs as we could get him out to. Beginning of the season, he was unlucky not to leave. I think we registered him because we had space, not because we wanted to. Clearly, the manager doesn't think he's ideal for, like Craig was saying there. Clearly, he's not ideal or ideally suited for the way that we play. But his work and his efforts today, and the fact that he was again up for the fight, that was lovely to see from him. That was great to see from him. But it just shows you where we're at right now. Like, we're not even down to bare bones. Like we've lost like 14 bones. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're playing poker with 13 cards out of 52. This is where we're at right now. So we're deciding to use the jokers as part of the deck. It's just a reflection of where we are and how much help that we do need. When it comes down to the manager back in the transfer window, of course he's going to, because he had a budget that he chopped up and he made certain decisions. And that's how it went. But obviously, if the budget was different, I think that he's not going to deny bringing in whoever else part of the squad for whoever else he wanted part of the squad. But he had a budget and he chopped it up. And he also has to say that he backs those decisions because those players are in the squad trying to play for him right now. So I think it would have a negative effect probably on the players within the squad if he was to be like, no, I hate the transfer window, we should have done A, B, and C. That's just my take on what he said there.
Ricky, let's stay with you. Let's talk about Tottenham's starting 11 today, because of course Ange Postecoglou was forced into a number of changes, as we've already discussed. Austin, Porro, Dragusin, Gray, Spence, Bergvall, Sarr, Kulusevski, Johnson, Solanke, and Timo Werner. And the subs today: Whiteman, Reguilon, Dorrington, Hardy, Basuma, Maddison, Elise, Son, and Lancashire. When that team came up on your phone and you saw that was the starting 11 today against Newcastle at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, what were you thinking?
I was thinking, oh no, is what I was thinking. I was like, I just, I was, unsure about Austin being in their first game, like we said, against an informed Newcastle. You got Dragusin and Gray, who were rumoured this morning, and it's been confirmed about Dragusin and Gray right now, that they were, bedridden the majority of the week. Timo Werner starting up top. He hasn't had the greatest of times, and as you captured after the last game, he had his head in his hands and he was thoroughly disappointed and, despondent almost at the end of the last game. And I think we was all speculating about the confidence and where his head was at after that game. So to see him starting, it was a worry. But again, this is the position that we're in right now. Even our second keeper, Forster, he's not been able to get out of bed. I had a friend that has picked up this particular bug, and after 8 days, he's only getting back to himself right now.
Yeah.
He was sick and bedridden, and his body was shattered. He said his body was exhausted. So if we've ever had to go to work when we was extremely ill like that, like just put yourself into the mindset and then go, could you run for 90 minutes with, after suffering that type of illness as well? So it's, the efforts, again, this is why I'm praising those boys and the efforts. And, of all the stats that make us look bad, I would love to know the stat of how many times have we had a fully fit squad stroke, a fully fit back four. I go back to the same time last year when we had Emerson Royale and Ben Davies. We had 4 fullbacks in our back line. So, there are a lot of extenuating circumstances. Yes, this is a rebuild. Yes, we're going through different phases. We're trying to work with the budgets that we got. We need more right now in January. We clearly need more.
Ange Postecoglou in his press conference has just said, I'm really, really angry. The angriest I think I've ever been in my career. It was a fantastic performance and we were denied the reward. Hats off to my players. I know what everyone wants me to say, but all I will say is that on any other day, on a fair and even playing ground, we would have won that game. Ricky, what did you make of the officials today, particularly the referee?
Firstly, I agree with him. I agree. I haven't heard what he said today as yet, but I agree with everything that he said there. And I think that we should recognize that too. I know there's people out there that won't and that will refuse to, but I agree entirely with him. I don't think the referee was there for us today. I don't think he protected us at all. I think, I think there was many a challenge from Joe Linton, from Dan Burn that he let go. Yes, they did get yellow cards, but later on in the game, he let a lot go. And when you look at the physicality of them, they really impose that, especially on a young midfield, and on some youngsters. The elbow in the back of Bergval's head in the first half, that was a bit of a nasty challenge. Now you could say it was accidental, but when in commentary they asked Ali McQuaist, well, when you was in that Old Firm derby, if that happened, what would you say? He was like, well, yeah, the player knew what he was doing. The player knew what he was doing. Joe Linton's an experienced guy. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing there. And there was just not enough protection. I felt that there was not enough protection, around our goalkeeper today, because their defenders just looked to push, bully, and almost clothesline him at times, and not a word was said. Not much was said about the time wasting, although he allowed the extra time at the end. Not only was it the 10 minutes, but he went to 12 minutes because within the 10 minutes, they were time wasting within that too. So I've got to give the referee credit for that. And, for a couple of decisions, but majority of it, in the important decisions, they didn't go our way whatsoever.
I feel like so many clubs this season time waste against Spurs because they know that they can and they get away with it. Johnny, let's come to you. On the starting 11, were you surprised by the starting 11 when it came out, and who impressed you today?
No, I wasn't surprised by the starting 11. Obviously, with the virus, I thought the goalkeeper coming in did a really good job. I think Bergvall was sick or whatever. He was taken off. But I was surprised that Son wasn't playing. I was a bit surprised that he didn't start, the captain and all that. I don't know what the issue was there. If anybody knows, was there an issue why he dropped him, or was it just to rest him? Or
I think it was to rest him, wasn't it?
Was it the rest? Yeah, I just thought in a game like that, I would have liked to seen him play. You know, I mean, I know we have to rest players, but then you look at some of the players that were playing, I think Son should be playing. I mean, I know he missed that penalty the other day, but like still, he's such a prolific scorer. I mean, he can score, an opportunist. You know, he can score from anywhere. And I just think we needed someone like him, especially the captain. You know, in a game like that, because Newcastle are going to bully you around the place. They're masters at that. I just think that Son missing was a bit of a shame, really. But Timo Werner, I mean, like, I'd love to say he impressed me, but again, just disappointing, you know. And it's I think we need to move him on. It's just not working out. And I think it's great to see the young players come in, Chris. There's no doubt we have to bring in young players, but I think we're asking a lot of them. I don't think there's enough senior players in the team really to help them along at the moment. We need some strong characters in that team, and I don't think we have them. Son is good, but he was missing in a game like that. I just think I think the goalkeeper today, like he did very well. I mean, I know it was the second goal I thought that was a handball by Joe Linton that led to that goal. I mean, it was 2 minutes and 25 seconds after we scored, we conceded that goal. That's what Opta said. And it was a handball, and that handball rule says that if there's a handball leading up to a goal, it shouldn't stand, and it stood. So I don't know. I mean, they said that his hand was by his side, but you know, look, there is argument to say that things are against us at the moment. There's no doubt about that. You know, you could say with the virus and the handball situation, yeah. But look, you just have to get on with it and just march on. But a couple of the young players, no doubt they're talented and all that, but it's just overshadowed by the fact that we keep losing. And I think that if we were winning, then you know it would give the younger players confidence. It's much harder for them coming in and then losing, you know, because they're not getting confidence. And when you keep losing like that, it's the morale. It's very hard. It's very hard to keep because you don't believe you can win, and you stop believing. So something is going to have to change very quickly, because there's a couple of comments there, and I just saw we're getting lots of comments in the comment section. The most serious problem Ange has is that he's reluctant to make a shift in his tactics, Chris, even when the whole squad is tearing apart. And that's it. It's just the tactics. There's no tactic. Like, it just seems to be fly forward, try and score, and hope for the best. And if it works, it looks great. If it doesn't, you can lose. And I'm not sure that's the right way forward for this team. I think it's like Russian roulette. Somebody playing Russian roulette with Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. That's what it's like. And I think we need someone to steady the ship and get back to having it. Like, I know the squad is depleted. I get it. And if someone new comes in, you know, they're still going to have the same issues. But maybe they can organise them better. And put a fight up against these other teams, because we're great going forward, but if we're not scoring, we're leaving ourselves open at the back. And yeah,
Ricky, you're shaking your head there. Go on, come in. It's weird, isn't it? Because this is what's great about recording these podcasts, particularly straight after the game, because it is raw emotion. And I think that you and Johnny, your opinions, they couldn't be any more different at the moment.
I don't know what to say, bro. Organize what? We've got no defenders. What are you going to organize? What are you organizing? Christmas is gone. You don't need to organize a Christmas party. New Year's Eve is past. I don't know what you're organizing. Another manager to come in and do what?
I know, but in the back line, you can see that there. I mean, I don't know whether there's no. I heard recently there was no defensive coach. I don't know whether that was just a rumor or speculation. But you can see when the ball's crossed in, they're not good at defending corners, and they're not good at defending a 25-yard free kick into the box. They're very poor in that way. And I think somebody trying to coach, that should be coached. That's basic defending, you know. And in the Premier League, you can't get away with that. It's not all about, you know, driving forward and attacking. That's a part of the game. But a big part of the game in Premier League football is defence. And that's why Nottingham Forest are doing well, because they are defending very well and they're catching people on the break. I know, but the ones that they have, they're defending.
I know, Johnny. It's not I know, bro. They've got defenders. They went and bought 2 defenders that love to defend. Murillo last season and Milenkovic this season. Both experienced pros, both very good at their jobs, that love doing their jobs. They've got 2 defenders sitting there. They can organize around their defense. We are down. We've just Reguilon is the forgotten man, bruv, and he came on today because we had to put Spencer centre back. What are you talking about?
I know, like, but somebody has to take responsibility for the. I know, but Ange Postecoglou has to take responsibility on the players that he brought in. I mean, he re-signed. He took Timo Werner back in. I wouldn't have had him here.
4 defenders out, bruv. Who's going to legislate for 4 defenders out?
I know, but look,
for that? And our goalkeeper. Who legislates for that?
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't know? Because you continue to say I know, and then go, yeah, but. Give them credit for what they're trying to do, but at the same time, recognize the position that we're in. It is not bloody well Ange Postecoglou's fault that these guys got the bug and force us in bed right now. I don't know, man. I'm going out of my mind here. It's just like, come on. If Pep Guardiola comes in, what's he organizing?
Johnny, can I come in? Do you think it would be any different if a new manager suddenly came in tomorrow? Do you think something is going to dramatically change? I suppose that's what Ricky's trying to say.
Well, sometimes when a new manager comes in, they have different ideas, they have different ways of playing, different style of play. They also can organise the team differently. No, I mean, I agree with Ricky. The defence is depleted. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know. I mean, is it just bad luck, or is there other reasons why they're out? You know, I don't know. Van de Ven gets an injury, he's out for ages. You know, like it doesn't seem like Newcastle had a lot of people missing. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. You know, they had Wilson, Lascelles, Kraft, Botman, and all that missing today, but still able to get a victory. And still able to carve out the win. So, look, I don't know. If we keep going the way we're going, it's just going to be teams are just going to be able to pin us away, get us on the break, and score. If the defense isn't back, and if the defense is out injured for so long, I mean, what are we supposed to do then? I don't know. I mean, what does anyone else have any idea as to what we should do? I mean,
I think that's the most frustrating thing. I don't think any of us have the answers right now. Ricky, can I come back to you and ask you the question? Because I do understand what Johnny's trying to say.
Yeah, me too.
In terms of all of these defeats, and of course, none of us Spurs fans want us to keep losing game after game. You know, no matter how we've done it, no matter what players we've got, whether they're out or they're returning or whatever, none of us want to lose under any circumstances. Do you think the board are going to give Ange Postecoglou the time, and do you think that they will be sympathetic, like you are as a Spurs fan right now, trying to understand what Ange Postecoglou is trying to do? You know, you're fully on board with what he's trying to do. I completely get that, but do you think he's going to get the time and patience from those above?
I would hope so. I would hope so, because like I say, it's like you can see the boys that are pushing, you know, and with the board as well, it's like, you know, like I say, they had a limited budget in the summer, so I would hope that they would see that there were gaps before and that we're in a really troublesome spot now, and that we need some help. So I would hope that they would go and try and act as soon as they can. Yeah. I do understand that it's an easy bargaining chip because we are down to bare bones. So I don't mean to shout or get emotional. I don't. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just what Tottenham does to you sometimes, man. It's crazy. And it's not just I blindly believe. It's because I don't want to go back to Conte ball. I don't want to go back to Mourinho ball. however good Nuno's doing at Forest, I think that he's suited to Forest. You know, some managers fit certain clubs, and I think that he was suited to Forest. I still don't think if Nuno had time and patience that he would have got it right. It was just something that felt wrong at that time. I don't get that feeling with Ange. I see what he's trying to do. So I would hope that in the most troubling of times, instead of deflecting blame away from the board and those that put that particular budget forward, that they back him right now, see that he needs a hand, and see that the boys are playing for him, and try and bring in some good characters, because it's not about panic buys as well. It's about buying those good characters that are up for the fight and know that we're in it, and put their hands in their pocket and try and make something happen.
Yeah, I think Ange has said that enough times now about we certainly do need help in this January transfer window. Craig, let's come to you. Let's talk again about the starting 11. What were your thoughts when that starting 11 came out?
I was of the opinion. Thank you. I was of the opinion really that he didn't have much else he could do. I feel. Look, there could have been small change. He could have started Maddison. He could have started Son. But to be honest, it's kind of what I was expecting. Pleased at the time that Dragushin got the nod, because at least he's a centre back alongside Gray, who's obviously still learning the role or being forced to learn the role. You know, just losing Fraser Forster again. The flu thing is what comes back to what I said earlier. It's just bloody bad luck. But to be fair, and I know we'll come on to it, I thought Austin quite rightly deserved the man of the match. I thought he played really well. I felt more comfortable with him in goal than Forster. I wasn't nervous when he had the ball at his feet. I thought he commanded his area well. You could see him shouting at the players. I think he deserves a chance. I thought he deserved a chance ever since he got his new contract, because they obviously saw something in him to give him the reward him with that contract. And now here we are in for another keeper that's apparently going to challenge Vicario. I don't get it. I think Austin, on his performance today against one of the top clubs in the Premier League, has proved that he can do the job. Yeah. And he would have been nervous. Of course he would have been nervous, you know, sitting how many games he's been on the bench, 76 or something stupid like that. And he's got his chance and he's took it. But going back to the starting 11, it was a bit funny to see Werner starting. I'm not sure. Like I say, it must be just rotation-wise, kept Son out the team and to give Sonny a rest. Timo didn't really do that much today. Neither did Johnson. But did they get the balls in the positions where they can actually hurt the team? I don't know. But I'm not sure what, you know, like we've said everybody knows we're down to bare bones. So he's got to do what he feels best, obviously, with a big game coming up midweek as well.
Yeah. Let's get on to the match instance after 3 minutes. I'm getting a lot of feedback from one of you, by the way. Ricky, let's come to you. After 3 minutes, both Johnny and Craig have mentioned Timo Werner. I've got to mention this. Timo Werner with the corner. It went straight to a Newcastle player. Which is really, really frustrating. Craig just said there, and I think Johnny said as well, that we expect a lot more from Timo Werner. When you're in the starting 11 for Tottenham Hotspur and you've got so many injury problems, suspensions, and a virus going through the squad, you know, you've got to give more. You've got to give absolutely everything. And after 3 minutes, you know, going into a game with a full Tottenham Hotspur stadium, you know, the whole crowd groaned when that happened, because it's like, come on, how many times have we seen this? You've got to give more.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. I mean, you know, I think Timo's been on a downward trend for a while. I mean, there was a few flashes, I think maybe against West Ham, where he looks okay, but the majority of it has been on a downward trend. And, you know, like we were saying there, after Wolves 2-2, he looked despondent at the end of the game. I mean, he didn't start very well. And after 3 minutes, like you say, giving away, it's comical and it's sad all at the same time. But it's to use one of Craig's favorite words, frustrating, because we've got nobody else. You know, you're absolutely right that we deserve more from him and from his performances. And even when Ange called him out a few weeks ago, I think he was absolutely right to do so in that sense. I think it was almost an attempt to try and wake him up a bit, but I don't think we're going to get rid of him this January either, because I don't think Leipzig are going to take him back. It's
no.
From what I heard, I was watching Ali Gold's video, and from what I heard from that, Leipzig have to agree to it, and it's down to them whether they can take him back or not. It's not up to us whether we can cancel the contract, so we might be stuck with him.
Do you get the frustration though, Ricky, with the fan base when Ange Postecoglou said last night that the summer window was good? When you're re-signing, as Johnny said, you've re-signed Timo Werner again, so we've signed him essentially twice. Ange Postecoglou has done this. Why are we constantly being linked to players that aren't doing well at other clubs or loan deals or whatever? The transfer windows have to be better, don't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely agree with you. With speculation, as we know, I'd say take everything with a pinch of salt, because we end up getting linked to a lot of players, and a lot of agents almost link our names to kind of get some traction on their players as well. So, 8 out of 10 of them are probably rubbish. So take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We can't be looking for those players that are out of form or stuff like that. We have to find some quality, we have to find some real quality. And if it is in the young bracket, let it be in that young bracket where they've been playing high profile games in their league or, for their team at that time, so that they can come in and hit the ground running, fingers crossed. But even that's not a guarantee. But yeah, it's all about recruitment. And it's all about kind of getting in these final pieces that we need, really. That we highlighted this in the summer as well, though, Chris. I think all of us said it many a time that we needed more. And even when Odebear come in, I was like, okay, cool. We've got another attacker, another winger. I don't know what he's about. I didn't see much of him at Burnley. I saw a couple of highlight reels, so I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what he's got. But he played 2 games and then he's been out for a long time, and I don't know when he's coming back. So we definitely need more options up in that final third of quality, and that can deliver what we're asking them to do, because you can see that there's chances being created, and you can see with that little extra quality, that those are the things that make the difference. That corner at 3 minutes, is the difference between a player that you want at your club and somebody that you don't.
Yeah, I can certainly understand why Ange Postecoglou publicly criticised Timo Werner after that Rangers game, because you've got to give more, in my opinion, especially being a professional footballer playing for a club like Spurs. You've got to give a lot more. Johnny, let's come to you. Let's talk about the opening goal of the game, Dominic Solanke, a fantastic header past Dubravka, putting Spurs 1-0 up. Talk us through this goal. And, it's fair to say that Thomas Tuchel, who was in attendance today, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, he would have been very pleased with what he saw.
Absolutely. With Solanke, we've been talking about signings. He has been a positive signing. And we need more players like him. Since he's joined, there was a couple of games maybe at the beginning he didn't fire, but he's now certainly finding his feet. And he's a real goal. He's a great goal scorer, and we're very lucky to have him. But Thomas Tuchel now will be considering him now for the England team, and he deserves to get a chance to play in one of the friendlies or whatever. There's no doubt about that. I don't know if that was the first time Thomas Tuchel has come to see Spurs play since he's been named England manager. But I'm sure he was impressed with Solanke. He did leave near the end of the game. I saw him leaving the stadium maybe 5 minutes before the end. But Solanke, since he's come to Tottenham Hotspur, he's really fitted in. He's really slotted in, and he's a positive signing. So if we can get the recruitment people to sign players of his caliber during January, the transfer window, I think that'll really help to improve the squad. But look, just in relation to in relation to Ange and his future, you know, look, I hope it works, and I know all of us here watching this and all the fans watching, you know, that he's here at the end of the season and that we've climbed the table and put ourselves into a position to get European football. But if we don't win the Liverpool game or the 2 legs, or we lose in a you know, if we lose by a lot of goals, and then the Tamworth one, I don't know how that's going to go, but the Arsenal one's a big one, and if we lose that one, you know, I can kind of see Ryan Mason. I can see where it's going if it keeps going that way, and I know people don't hear that, but that's what's happened in the past. It's the way Spurs operate. It's a results game, and if we don't pick up results very quickly, it's Ryan Mason. That's where it's going to head. And I know people don't want to hear that, and it's you know, they might think I'm negative or whatever. I'm not. It's happened over the last 20 years. You know, we've had 20 managers in the space of 22 or 23 years, and you know, I don't know why people think this one's any different. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. I get that. So by letting Ange go, you know, that's just going to do what we've been doing. But the results business. If you don't get the 3 points, you drop down the table, and things start getting tricky. And that's when the pressure comes on. So Liverpool's big one, because that's our chance of a trophy. If we don't win that one, that's our last chance then really picking something up. Well, FA Cup, I suppose, we have a chance. But then it's Arsenal, and that's a big one. That's when that pressure is going to be on. If we lose to Arsenal, I don't know if that game's home or away. Chris, can you remember?
Away.
It's away. Yeah, I mean, that's a biggie. Because I don't think with Liverpool, the way they're playing, I just don't see us winning that, because they're playing so well. Salah in such form. But if we don't beat Arsenal, and they're beginning to get a bit of momentum going, you know, we are great going forward. There's no doubt about that. We look great, and there's goals there with Solanke and all that. It's just defensively, and as Ricky said, I know we're depleted. We are. There's no denying that. But teams like Arsenal and teams like Liverpool will exploit that. Anyway, fingers crossed.
In answer to your question, Johnny, it was Thomas Tuchel's first game he's attended today as official England boss, wow, having taken the job officially from the 1st of January. Going back to Dominic Solanke, though, Johnny, are you worried about the fact that Ange Postecoglou at the moment cannot give him a break? Because, again, he said this in the pre-match press conference that, you know, players like him, players like Dejan Kulusevski, wants to give a rest and a break to, but he simply can't at the moment.
No, and then if you put Son in, Son's 32 now. You know, he's a great player, a great captain, but you know, it gets harder as you get a bit older. And if you put, and maybe that's why you rested Son, you know, and if you rest Solanke and then let's say we're picking up so many injuries, we'll have no team left to play. And I understand why this rotation. I get it. You know, it's easy here in front of the screen to say you should do this, you should do that. We're not all there. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But if you keep playing Solanke, he could pick up a niggle, and then he's out for a couple of games. And we've got big ones coming up with Liverpool and Arsenal, as I said, and the Tamworth one. So we need. That's why the rotation probably has to continue. But I wouldn't have Timo Werner playing. I'd bring on Son and Kulusevski if I had to. I'd leave him on the bench. He's just not like, he's an example of somebody who just gets $100,000 a week and isn't, you know, there's no motivation there. And I wouldn't have anyone who that 3-minute cross into the box. I'd take him off for doing that. You know, you can't have people doing that. This is Tottenham Hotspur. This is one of the greatest football teams in the UK, and we should be doing a lot better. And it's really hard as a fan. We're all very emotional, I know that, but it's really hard to watch that kind of someone given 20%. I'd love to see him given 100%, and then if we lost, at least he tried. But that's not good enough, and he shouldn't. I wouldn't even play him. I wouldn't even put him on the bench. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it. He's really letting the club down, and you know, we need people like you know, we need players like Solanke and Kulusevski who are giving it 100% every time they come on. That's what Spurs is all about. And when you see those guys giving that amount of effort, then it makes you feel, well, that's really good to see. You know, things are going in the right direction. You see Timo Werner doing that, that's a sign he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't care. And And I'll argue that point with anyone who wants to. If you're a big pro Werner, I argue with you any day. But it's it's just not working with him, and they won't sell him because no one will want him, Chris. We're going to have him into 2025, 2026 probably. Who will buy him? Look, you only have to look at the videos. He's not. They all have iPads now. You can see him out running at the players done. He's a great runner. There's no end. You can't pass the ball. The schoolboy players I see at the weekend in my local park could pass the ball better than him. He's getting over 100 grand a week. That's not good enough. That money, we could spend that money more wisely to have him there.
Yeah, I think the plan is, Johnny, that he will go back to Leipzig at the end of the season, having finished his loan spell with us. Craig, let's come to you. Let's still discuss the first goal, because it was a very well-worked goal, wasn't it? Involving Bergvall, Pedro Porro, and a great finish from Solanke.
Yeah, it was a great cross, great finish, and that's what Solanke's all about. I just wish we'd put the ball into those areas a bit more for him, to be honest with you, because he'd thrive on that and he'd get more goals. That's the bottom line. Pedro Porro put in some magnificent crosses today. He really did, and shows what he's all about. That delivery was absolutely fantastic. If I was centre forward playing on the end of some of those deliveries, you really are licking your lips. But the whole move was brilliant. And got us off to a really good start. And I must admit, I thought, well, perhaps we could, if we go and get another one. But again, it's one of the situations where we needed 2 or 3 goals today. But yeah, it was a good start, good cross, good finish.
We seem to start games very well, though, Craig, don't we? Because Ange even alluded to this in one of the press conferences recently, saying, in games, we've started extremely well. Either scored the first goal or very nearly scored the first goal. Yeah,
we do. We generally fly at the traps. A couple of games where we haven't this season, obviously, off the top of my head, Coventry and Crystal Palace. But apart from that, we generally start games fast, like Liverpool used to do, like Liverpool even do now, under a mile an hour. And got another goal up early in the match. It is a bit of a theme sometimes with us that we tend to, it has been in the past, should I say, where we start games slowly. That was a bit of the theme, but we start games fast. It's just the conceding at the other end's been the issue that we all know about. But again, I come back to it, and I agree with what Ricky said. You've got that many defenders out, you're going to suffer. Especially players not playing in natural positions. You're going to suffer, and this whole period's just been a nightmare, and that's been a massive part of it. I think people are underestimating exactly what this has done for us and the whole system. That amount, you could probably carry 1 or 2 players, but the amount that we've had to change and players playing slight tweaks to their roles, it's just any team in the world, I don't care who you are, any team would suffer. Real Madrid, this happened to Real Madrid, Barcelona. They'd be in exactly the same position we are. Honestly, people underestimate the impact it's had.
What do you make of the fans moaning about that then, Craig, saying that it is just excuses?
Well, it's not an excuse if it's true. Do you know what I mean? Football's all subjective. People say we should do this, should do that. But it's not an excuse for me. It's a reason. It's a reason why things are happening. That's all I can really say on it, because an excuse would be to say, the ref nobbled us every week, or the linesman's are dodgy, or the VAR nobbled us, or something like that. This is actual fact that we've nearly had a whole team out, injuries one way or the other, and we've still got 7, 8, 9 players out at the moment that are key to this system. The system's going to break down unless you've got 23, 24, 25 players in the squad who are A1, who you see no drop off when they come in, which clearly we still are in that position. But if we've got our first 11 out there doing this, I guarantee you 100%, the results would have been different.
Craig, do you want to talk us through the equaliser in the 6th minute? Because this one is certainly a frustrating one, isn't it?
It was, and look, it came just before that. There was the ball to Bergvall wasn't the best. I think it was Archie Gray played to Bergvall, but he got his foot to it. And for me, that is a handball by Joe Linton all day long. I don't see how they cannot give that as handball, because he stops the ball. The ball would have been completely different direction. In fact, it would have gone to a Spurs player had he not got his hand there. Regardless of whether it's by his side, his hand touched the ball. An illegal part of the body touched the ball. Now, people will say that is not the rules of the game. Fair enough. But come on. You know, that clearly helped Newcastle out. Our players were then out of position, and they went on to score. It was a good finish by Gordon. You can't blame Austin for it. Right in the corner, low and across the keeper. But that incident alone, I just can't believe. I was so confident. My son said to me, he said, "What do you think?" I said, "That'll be chalked off. He's touched his handball," and it wasn't. So
can I just say, Craig, for those listening on audio platform, we've got a picture on the screen now. I'll tell you what, it couldn't be any more blatant that is a handball.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't explain it any better than the picture. And if you're watching on audio, apologies, but you would have seen it, I'm sure. Joey Linton's left hand, clear, not even like he brushes the ball. It hits his hand and goes in a completely different direction. And if we were Newcastle fans, we'd be thinking we've got away with one now. I just can't see how VAR can't intervene in that and say that has gifted an advantage to Newcastle by using an illegal part of the body. I'm sorry, that is just utter madness decision, that one. And then as you wind it on there, I think it was Gimenez passed into, well, you can see where the ball deflected to there, almost the aftermath of that handball. Slip pass into Anthony Gordon and a great finish across the keeper. But that handball, not good officiating from me. I'll have an argument with anybody that wants to say, "Oh, well, it's the rules." Come on, that's handball. In any way, shape, or form, that's handball. And if the referee had given it during the during the run of play, nobody would be saying anything. Clear handball.
Ricky, do you want to give your opinion on this handball? Because it does seem a ridiculous decision.
No, I think it was Ange's tactics that, forced the handball. And Ange was also on VAR. And he said that there was no violation. Let it go through. Let's concede the first goal because we like to do that at home. So I feel it was all, down to Ange why he handballed it to control the ball and then pass it on and for it to be allowed.
Ricky, we've had a comment in saying Chris was prickly last week and Ricky is prickly this week.
Mate, I don't know what to say, bro. Tottenham will get you that way, man. Tottenham will get you that way. They play with your heart and they play with your emotions, and we've been through it for so long that we're always, and I'm always hoping for the brighter day. I'm always hoping for the brighter tomorrow. I'm always hoping for the best. And, it's been a turbulent, terrible journey for a long time. Some of the football that we was playing under Conte, yes, when he got us top 4 the first season, it was scintillating, but then that dropped off a cliff in the second season. We did not build on that whatsoever, and some of the football that we was playing at that point, although we were holding on to games at some times, but I just felt we invited pressure and we sat back and it was boring as hell. And I wanted to fall asleep and turn the TV off more times under him than I did under Mourinho, and we've been through it, man. We've been through it, and it's just that I see a guy trying to change not just the way that we play, but the mentality of the club and the transfer strategy and trying to take on this poison chalice, trying to face the curse to its face. And we deserve so much more today, like Craig just said there, he'd argue with anybody. It was 100% handball, but yet it was given. When we played Chelsea, they done a very similar challenge to what Romero did the season before that got Romero sending off. but they could just crack on. We have this so many times, and we take it on the chin many a times, and we're like, okay, great, okay, fine, we'll crack on, we'll move on. We don't ask for a game to be called off. Do you know what I mean? We never cried COVID when it was locked down. We never cried when we got kicked out of the Conference League, because of, we never cried. We took it on the chin and we cracked on. But it's so tough when I see like the effort and the will to try and change and to not cry and to take it on the chin and to stand up to it and still not get the results that we deserved. The way that we played today, I feel that we deserve to win. If that goal didn't go, if that goal was chalked off, it would have been 1-1, which meant, I presume, and speculate that would have forced Newcastle to continue to play their football, which would have left gaps at the back when we was at our most dangerous in that second half. So, these things do matter. And they say it all does level out at the end of the season. Well, Tottenham's owed a lot of level. Do you know what I mean? Because, wow. And I'm happy that the boss and the boys don't cry about it, and they don't, put it out there as an excuse all the time. But that's what I'm here for. So I can shout about it a little bit.
Ricky, after 11 minutes, Dominic Solanke had a shot blocked. Papa Matasar shot with the follow-up. Easy for the goalkeeper. And then after 20 minutes, I've written down here, excellent pressing from Spurs in that final third. Kulusevski, he had a shot which was blocked. I'll tell you what, it was excellent pressing at that point in the final third. And in the opening 20 minutes, how were you feeling at that point? Because a depleted team, a depleted squad, so many injuries, sickness bug all week, you must have been proud, and you must have thought at that time, similar to me, this is a game here. This is a game that we could really compete in and perhaps go on to win. And as you've rightly said, Newcastle coming into this game, 5 out of 5 wins.
5 out of 5 wins. They've got everything going for them. The way that we started and the efforts that the boys are putting in, invigorated me. Like I say, when I saw about the illness this morning, I was just like, is there anything else? Is there anything else that they can chuck at us? Really? So that was a bit of a downer, but when we got to the start and you saw that effort and, you saw Dom Solanke's goal and stuff like that, you're like, come on, boys, let's go. In the face of adversity, in the face of a tidal wave, we're still running towards the water. We're still going in the same direction. We're still crashing through. We're still fighting. And, it picked me up. And I was roaring at that point. And that's when it's like, Timo could be a scapegoat, yes, but you look at his performances, and these are facts too. There's times when it came to him and the momentum broke down or the move broke down, and these are the little things that we're dealing with right now. Until we get some help back, until, fingers crossed, Mikey Moore comes back, but then we're putting a lot on a 17-year-old as well. But, there's a lot more in him than there is in Timo at the moment. And fingers crossed, Richarlison comes back. Another one that had an innocuous injury. Another one that's been plagued by injuries at Tottenham. I mean, how many games has he played? 5? I know that's an exaggeration, but it feels like 5 games he's played.
Yeah.
And even then, when he got his injury, what was it? It's because he passed it with his left foot. There was no challenge. There was no nothing. He passed the ball with his, he assisted a goal and had to come off because he had a thigh strain or something like that. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. So fingers crossed we get some back and moves like that can continue to flourish and we can get the rewards at the end of it.
Johnny, let's come to you. After 21 minutes, Brandon Austin to Solanke, who lost the ball, and then it resulted in Brandon Austin making a save from Anthony Gordon. 7 minutes later, Pedro Porro had a shot over the bar. On 30 minutes, Brandon Austin taking a goal kick really quickly. And I tell you what, that's my only criticism of Brandon Austin today. The goal kicks he just seemed to want to take really quickly, especially in that first half. But I did notice the change in the second half, and I did notice that Pedro Porro was talking to Brandon Austin when coming off the pitch, giving him instructions and just probably saying to him, calm down and just be a little bit slower. But other than that, I thought that Brandon Austin had a really good game. On 30 minutes, Brandon Austin took another goal kick really quick. Jed Spence was asking for it, and then it was played out. And then Newcastle had a throw-in, which was a little bit frustrating because he was having a good game. He was awarded man of the match today. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that decision. I think, look, the likes of, Kulusevski and Pedro Porro, they're like the spine of Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. And then to be able to bring in a young goalkeeper like that on his debut and to put in a performance. Okay, look, he let 2 goals in, but one of them shouldn't have been allowed because of the handball with Joe Linton. But look, it is what it is. But it'll give him great confidence going forward. And you couldn't make it up though with the virus, like Fraser Foster getting sick and not being able to play, and it's just, and then he gets his opportunity. So sometimes you just have to grasp those opportunities when they come. And I'm sure no doubt he was nervous coming into it, but he didn't look nervous. And this is how you start your career, with a game like that. And maybe he'll start the next game. Maybe he'll start him against Tamworth. You don't know. But no, I agree with that decision today, and man of the match decision is right. So look, that's I know I've been on a bit of a rant today, and we don't always agree with each other, and that's the great thing about the podcast. Sure, if we were all sitting here just saying how saying that we were all agreeing with each other, it wouldn't sound right. I just think people have different opinions, different views, and that's what makes it interesting. You can see in the comments it's fairly 50-50. And that's what it's all about. Just because we say these things doesn't mean we're always right. We have to just speak it the way we see it, and that's the way I always will be. And Craig's the same, and Ricky's the same. And at the end of the day, Ricky, we're not going to fall out. No one's going to fall out over it, but we all have to respect our views and see what happens, because none of us are there on the coaching, during the week. None of us are there to see what's actually going on. It's probably a bigger challenge than we actually think to actually manage a Premier League football club. But with the youth coming in and some of the academy players being introduced, the future looks good for those guys.
Craig, let's come to you. Spence switched off in the 31st minute. What a chance for Newcastle. They shot just past the post, and then shortly after that, Newcastle took the lead. Isak putting Newcastle 2-1 up. Do you want to talk us through the goal?
Yeah, it was just unlucky. Obviously played across the box there, and Dragushin got the slightest of touches, but Isak would have been there to knock it in anyway. I must admit, I thought it was an own goal the first time I saw it. I thought Dragushin had put it in his own net, but Isak did get the slightest of touches. Just very disappointing to go behind after what I thought we'd actually done a fair bit of good work. But yeah, it's just Isak, world-class striker. He's up there at the moment, isn't he? I just had a feeling he'd be getting a goal today. He always seems to be in the right place at the right time. Plays between the posts and was there just to knock it in. So yeah, very disappointing. But I actually, at that point, I thought we might have enough to actually get a draw in the second half, which we're coming on to. I thought we probably deserved a draw in that second half, but Dragushin looked a bit off it today, to be honest, and no surprise that he was booked at half-time.
Craig, how are you feeling at that halfway point? Because just before the half-time whistle, Newcastle did have another chance. Gordon with a shot after a great attack, and it went just past the post. So Newcastle, I suppose, in that first half, they did have a number of opportunities, and Gordon did have a number of opportunities, but he didn't really have his shooting boots on today.
No, and how did I feel? Just deflated, I think, and I think you just get used to being down in games, and the run we're on at the moment. It's just so easy to let it get on top of you and think, oh well, look, another defeat. incoming. But it really, like I say, it really did give me a bit of hope that second half, because I thought the players rallied. I thought the subs that came on were really good, and we, like I say, I thought we probably deserved a draw out of it. But Newcastle had their chances. I can't remember exactly how many they had from the stat you put on at the beginning there. But we knew what we was going to get with them. We knew they'd been on form. So, you know, we knew we were going to be in the game today. Slightly edged the possession, of course, but it was mainly down to the second half fight back. So yeah, look, Newcastle they're up there, but they were fifth, I think, before the games kicked off this afternoon. So they're still pushing for the Champions League places, and I think somebody said Brentford will win in now, so we're going to fall down the league a little bit. Yeah, frustrated, Scott.
Yeah, Scott says here, deflated is Craig's new frustrated.
Deflated and frustrated, absolutely.
Ricky, as Johnny mentioned earlier about players coming in, you know, forced changes from Ange Postecoglou, and it's great to see some of these players taking their opportunities. I felt like Lucas Bergvall really took his opportunity today. Of course, Archie Gray has been playing all over the place. Jed Spence then went into centre-back because at half-time, Dragushin went off, Reguilon came on, Spence going in at centre-back. I tell you what, these are players that are really taking their opportunities at the minute.
In the most difficult of circumstances, they're taking their opportunity. They could easily kind of hide behind their age, their inexperience, and with the squad deflated. But they are really taking their opportunity, and that's what gives me some pride as well. Is because how many times, Chris, over the years, when we've had some of the really good 11s, when we've changed and we've seen our quote unquote second side, them absolutely failed to deceive. Do you know what I mean? Like, they failed to turn up. They failed to do anything. They failed to take their opportunity. And we've said that many a time. And that's all you want as a fan is those that do come in to take your opportunity. And, they have been doing the most. You can see Bergvall growing as well. You can see him growing week in, week out. He's starting to get an understanding of the pace and the physicality of the Premier League. And he's growing within that, and you can see his confidence. He got confident, more confident as the game went on. He was flying in that second half until he got taken off, and I just thought, fantastic, absolutely outstanding from Archie Gray again today. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in his preferred position when we do get an opportunity to see him there. Because I think in midfield, he could be absolutely dynamite. You can see the experience that he's gaining now in the back line, going up against some of the hardest, toughest, most technical, quick defenders in the Premier League, week in, week out, again in the toughest of moments, is almost, you can see him growing into it, and you can see him learning from it, and you can see him, kind of progressing week in, week out. So that's why it's unfortunate they're not getting the results that they deserve. I feel that they're really putting everything out there. But I think in the long run, this terrible period of time will be the making of those youngsters. And long may that continue. Long may they kind of force their way into the manager's thinking and into the first 11, especially when we do, hopefully, fingers crossed, we do at some point, get the majority of our squad back. I think they've definitely made an impression, and one that is forces the manager not to forget them.
Now, during recording this podcast, 5 other Premier League games have taken place. Bournemouth beat Everton 1-0, Aston Villa beating Leicester 2-1, Crystal Palace drawing 1-1 against Chelsea. The Premier League champions Manchester City beating West Ham 4-1 at the Etihad, and Brentford beating Southampton 5-0 away. As I mentioned earlier, Spurs are still 12th in the Premier League table. We are now 12 points away from the top 4. We're 9 points away from the relegation zone. Those are the facts, unfortunately. Johnny, let's come to you. On 47 minutes, Papa Matar Sarr had a shot over the bar. And then on 55 minutes, Papa Matar Sarr having another shot, this time at goal, saved by the goalkeeper. Brennan Johnson with the follow-up, hit the post. I feel like one of the key words and one of the most used words on this podcast so far this evening is unlucky. That was very unlucky.
Absolutely. I know that there's been a lot of unlucky things happening to us lately, and but that only goes on for so long. The luck will change, and I hope in the next couple of games, like I really hope in when we play Liverpool that we get a win. I know I didn't fancy a win, but like you have to hope for a win. You have to hope that things will change. And Brendan Johnson, I know. Last year, he was having issues with social media and he shut down his account, but then sort of reopened it again. And I think that chapter's over and he started to really get into firing form. I saw in one of the comments there, just on the side there, that somebody said, he's not great. I think he's not a great signing. I think he is, though. I think he reminds me of Dele Alli in a way, and I just think that there's a future for him at the club. There's no doubt about that. And alongside Solanke, the two of them look good. So there is a bit of unluckiness, all right. The virus with the shots on target and just not. I mean, we hit the post a couple of times today, or certainly when I was watching, we hit the post a few times, and it just doesn't seem to go in, and that only goes on for so long. If we keep working hard and keep pushing forward and staying positive, that the luck will change. So just other issues that are out of their control, like the virus and stuff, they can't really control that. But they can certainly control things on the pitch. You mentioned earlier, Chris, a lot of the players, Bergvall, a lot of the younger signings that we have, they are good signings, and I don't agree with some of the people on the side there saying Bergvall out or Brendan Johnson out. I don't agree with that. I think that they're good players and they have a future and they can only get better. But yeah, you're right. We were a bit unlucky. There's no doubt about that.
Craig, let's come to you on 57 minutes after a good counter-attack. Anthony Gordon shot over the bar, and then on 62 minutes, Ange Postecoglou made a treble sub. Sarr, Maddison, Basuma on. Werner, sorry, not Sarr. Who is it that came on? Basuma, Maddison,
Son.
and Son. Sorry, Son. I can't even read my own writing here. Son, Maddison, and Basuma coming on. Werner, Sarr, and Bergvall going off. What did you make of the treble sub? Because as Ange said in the post-match interview or the press conference, to add that experience from the bench at that stage of the game, we still felt like we were in it.
Yeah, we did. People were questioning taking Bergvall off. I can see it because he was having a very good game, but you got to remember on Wednesday we're going to be without Sarr and Bentancur. Is it Bentancur? Who is it suspended Wednesday or can't play Wednesday? I think it's Bentancur. Madison, thank you. Yeah, Madison. So so he's just saving him obviously for Wednesday, apart from anything else. And people saying Son didn't play very well today. I thought he was okay today, Son. I thought he actually made an impact on the left. I thought he was better than Werner. I thought he made some really good runs off the ball to take players away, and put in a couple of good deliveries. So I think Sonny played pretty well today, and looked sharper actually, because having that little bit of rest and coming on later on in the game for the last half hour. Maddison was obviously trying to make things happen, which you get from him. Basuma putting some really good tackles. So I just thought that experience, bringing that on, that was a one bit of good fortune that he had to bring in three experienced players. And I thought we looked better after the subs come on. As King Oro actually said exactly that in the chat just now. I thought we looked better when those three came on the pitch. So, yeah, totally get that Bergvall was playing well, but I don't think it was necessarily a wrong decision to take him off, because I think you get a bit more forward momentum with the players we brought on, certainly in Son and Maddison.
On 69 minutes, Craig, Brennan Johnson placed the ball to Dejan Kulusevski. It was just behind him. I've even written down the word here, unlucky, because Dejan Kulusevski, of course, captain Spurs today. We've mentioned this on the podcast so many times about he has shown real leadership. He looks a completely different player this season, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and he's been the talisman this season. He's been the one that's been driving us forward with his goals and his assists and everything else he does. that was just it was unfortunate. You know, how many times you've seen him take that in his stride and either get a shot off or just roll it across the box. That was a really good opportunity, and it just didn't fall for him. And I think today, out of all days, I just think a lot of things just didn't go our way. Not only just the illness bug before the match, but just certain incidents in the match where the ball didn't break or things just didn't go right for us. And you'd like to think over the course of a season those things even themselves out. Well, I'll tell you what, if that is the case, then over the next 4 months, we're due a lot of luck. And you'd hope things are going to change because, like today, Newcastle did get away with one. They wouldn't say I would actually say we fully deserved a draw out of that. I wouldn't say we were good enough to win it, but we fully deserved to share the points. And Newcastle are going to be thinking they probably got away with one today, taking the 3 points away with them. So yeah, it's all down to just a bit of good fortune, a lot of this. Like you get in life, really. A lot of the time it's just luck. And today the luck wasn't with us again, but Kulusevski, you know, you can't blame him for that. He's going to make mistakes, and he just couldn't take that one in his path. So another big chance went missing.
Ricky, let's come to you. After 72 minutes, Heung-min Son put in a good cross too close to the goalkeeper. On 81 minutes, James Maddison had a shot from distance just wide. And then a minute later, what a chance for an equaliser for Spurs. One cross shot from the left, one cross shot from the right. Johnson and Reguilon. Surely you were thinking at that stage, you know, one of those has got to go on target.
I threw my phone at that point. I threw it. I was watching the game on my phone, and
how did neither of those crosses hit a leg or anything? It just went straight across, didn't it?
I couldn't believe it, mate. I couldn't believe it, honestly. Like I was all over the place. I can't even really remember it. I just remember us having like 4 shots. All of them should have gone in. They ended up getting blocked, hit the post, went out, or went off and ricocheted. It was chaos and chaotic all at the same time, and I just couldn't believe it at that point. I was just like, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like for all our efforts, there were chances like that, and there was a couple more in the second half that I know you're going to get onto. That I was just like, oh come on, like, because we deserved it.
Well, there was a chance for Dominic Solanke, who headed over the bar in stoppage time. Harvey Barnes did have a chance. Brandon Austin then saved. There were chances, Ricky, wasn't there? There were chances for Spurs to equalise in that game.
Mate, there were so many. I mean, like you say there, the pass that went into Kulu, that it just like dropped behind him. You know, you would expect Kulu to kind of just dance in between a couple of defenders and get a quick shot off, or the one that went into Solanke, but he ended up trying to cushion it. He tried to control it and cushion it into Johnson's path, but there was just a little bit too much power, so he ended up going out for a goal kick. But like there were moves there that were fantastic. You know, like Craig was saying earlier about some of Porro's crosses and deliveries today. He was all over it. He looked a lot sharper today with a little bit of a rest. So it is again, it's just such a shame. I was going to say frustrating and disappointing again, but I tried to change up the vocab. It was just a shame. It was just a shame. It was unlucky. It was just a shame and very unlucky that somebody, it didn't go off of somebody's knee or off of the back of their shoulder or something, you know?
Before we talk about the Liverpool game on Wednesday and the transfer window, let's hear from Ange Postecoglou. This is what he had to say after the match.
And you had chances at the end there. What are your thoughts?
Hugely proud of the players. Outstanding considering what situation we're in. We deserved to win that game. All things being equal, we would have.
Do you feel a bit hard done by a couple of the decisions there? The first Newcastle goal, for example?
No, I don't feel hard done by. I just think that's the way they want to do things. So that's the way they want to do things.
Do you speak to any of the officials? Do you get any explanations? Are you going to pursue it?
The last thing I want is an explanation.
So you'll just let it be for today?
Well, I've got no choice, have I?
With the rest of the game, I mean, the amount of chances that you created in that second half, considering there's illness and everything going on in camp, what did you sort of say to the guys at half-time?
Oh, it's half time, full time. I'm just hugely proud of them. It's a game we should have won. We deserve to win. Like I said, all things being equal, we would have won. But these things aren't equal at the moment. So I couldn't be prouder of them. The way they played, their attitude, their ability to be resilient in the most extreme of circumstances, couldn't be prouder of them.
Brandon Austin as well, a word for him and his game.
Yeah, brilliant. You know, like I said before the game, you don't know when you get your opportunity, but he got it today, and he was outstanding.
How's the morale in the dressing room?
We're disappointed because it's a game that all things being equal, we would have won. So you're obviously disappointed. But as I said to the players, you know, you can only do what you can control, and there were things out of our control today that took the...
Ricky, let's come to you. What do you make of Andrew's comments there? And it's fair to say he gives a lot shorter answers than you do.
Yeah, but he's fuming.
I know.
He is fuming. It looks like he's put the jacket on after he's taken the fight. You know, when you take your and you're like,
I agree.
Let's go. It looks like you just put the jacket back on after a fight. He is absolutely fuming. I agree with everything that he said there. And, you know, again, that's not just me backing him. I am backing him. I am going to stand beside him, and I'm going to stand beside the players. But that's not just me doing that. I agree with everything he said. But you can see how losing it hurts his soul. And I like a manager that's upset about losing. He's not just brushing it off. He's not just kind of, again, laying into the excuses. He's upset about it, and he's right to be upset today, especially with all of the things that were going against us at the club, in the team, but also the kind of the ref as well, or the VAR, or whatever you want to call it. You know, I understand these frustrations, and I see how fuming he is. That's why his answer was so short.
I completely agree with Johnny here, who writes this on X. The players never gave up, and I thought they did really well. This is not a team that doesn't want to play. Injuries aside, we just don't seem to have the level of quality. We need to really, truly compete. The squad needs better quality and depth. Couldn't agree with that more. I walked past Fabio Paratici earlier, and I obviously saw him last week. And he's obviously still involved, working for Spurs as a consultant. And he was pacing up and down today, constantly on his phone. Looked very, very busy. And at one point when I walked past him, I heard him say to someone on the phone, yes, he's arrived today. Well, of course, an hour or so before kickoff, we got the news from Fabrizio Romano that Spurs are about to sign Slavia Prague goalkeeper Antonin Kinski. He is in London today for a medical to follow. Verbal agreement done between all parties, including the player side, and Kinski should undergo the medical after the Tottenham v Newcastle game. So this does look like the first transfer, the first incoming of this January transfer window. Johnny, what do you make of this signing? A 21-year-old goalkeeper. David Ornstein also stated of the Athletic, obviously, and he said that this isn't a backup to Vicario. This is a player very much to compete with him. What do you make of this signing, and what else are you expecting and demanding as a Spurs fan in this window?
I don't know much about this goalkeeper, Chris, to be honest. I don't know if there's many out there that know him. I mean, 12-point. Look, it's another punt on a player. Like, it could work. He might be on the bench. I don't know. I mean, it's a signing, I suppose. Maybe they have the scouts out looking at him. He looks great, but we've had players in before like this, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Look, we'll just have to trust the process and hope that they see something in him that will help the club. I mean, we need a goalkeeper at the moment. One of them sick and the other one injured, and then a younger player who, you know, needs probably a little bit more experience at that level. But he will be introduced, you know, over time, I'm sure. But maybe this guy will just come in and can start games. In terms of signings, I think we defence, obviously, central defence or whatever. You know, we need defenders, and you know, maybe a winger. I mean, Timo Werner. Again, we've spoken about him. Don't need to mention him anymore. We need a winger. Need some defenders. The strikers there are actually pretty decent. You know, with well, I think the role that Brennan Johnson, I think he should be more in the middle. I think he should be more central in the goal. I think he's better there. But anyway, I think that Kulusevski is good in the striker force, but he's coming from the midfield into the striker position. So again, you know, it's not an out-and-out striker. Solanke is there, of course. Richarlison should be coming back soon, I would imagine. So I think we really need to focus on defence, because somebody mentioned there, to play handball, you need to have the players that can play it for you. And at the moment, because the team is depleted, he probably doesn't have the personnel to be able to implement the Ange ball. And that's why, you know, they haven't given up on Ange. They're still playing for him. You can see that. They haven't down tools. That's a good sign. But they just need a little bit of luck here and there. And maybe that luck will start with Liverpool. But again, with this Czech Republic the goalkeeper, I don't know much about him. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there.
Craig, what do you make of this new signing? It looks like one for the future, but also one to, you know, give Vicario a little bit of competition.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, well, you could say, I think it's a bit of a strange one in that either did they know back in the summer that Fraser Forster wasn't, there was only a stopgap.
Well, he's out of contract. He's out of contract, isn't he, at the end of the season?
Yeah, and it's clear, obviously, he's not going to be hanging around. But it doesn't really speak volumes for Austin and Whiteman. Yet we've seen Austin come in today and give a man of the match performance. That's what I find strange about it. Yeah. You know, he hasn't played much, Austin, but he's got experience being a goalkeeper, should I say. I don't know if that's the best way of describing it. But it just seems odd that we've brought in another keeper. What does this do for Alfie Whiteman, for example? You know, surely Alfie Whiteman now has got to go, because you've not only got Vicario, you've got Forster, you've got this new keeper coming, you've got Austin, Whiteman, and then you've got the likes of Luca Gunter still hanging around. Josh Keeley, obviously, who's ripping it up at Leyton Orient. So we've got a lot of really good young goalkeepers, and we've just brought in another one. So it'll be, I know nothing about this lad. I can't tell you about anything that he's done or he hasn't done, other than the stats I read briefly when it was the news was broken this morning. So it'd be unfair for me to say that he looks good or he looks bad. I don't know enough about him to comment, but it's clear, obviously, that they think that obviously Vicario is going to be out till the end of perhaps February. I would imagine he's going to come straight in and play, assuming that they think he's ready, which you would hope they would. So I think we're probably going to get to see him very quickly. I'm assuming he can play on Wednesday against Liverpool. I don't know. I don't know what I mean, that's a massive game to throw him into. What do you do if Forster's not better? Austin's obviously going to get the nod, or this lad comes in and that's his debut. It's a fascinating situation.
Ricky, what would you like to see Spurs do before the 3rd of Feb, 11 p.m?
Yeah, make some more signings. But do you know what? On this goalkeeper, I know we don't know too much about him. But what I would say is that some of the unknowns have been, you know, diamonds in the rough. You know, your doggy, Sarr, Van der Ven when he came in, you know, Kulusevski, Bentancur. You know, there've been diamonds in the rough there. And so that would give me confidence to kind of go. The fact that we haven't really heard about him, I think he's been on the radar for a while. So I would assume, this is what I'm assuming, especially if they're going to pay money for him, that they know something about this keeper. And you got to remember as well, Vicario, we knew nothing about as well. Vicario came out of the blue, and look how well he's done. So my assumption is that he's been on the radar for a while and decided to pull the trigger now, because Forster, like Craig was saying there, Forster's out in the summer, contract ends, he's gonna move on. But to bring somebody in to compete with Vicario as well, I think is a positive. We know as fans, not having competition for your place breeds complacency, and I think it also kind of takes the pressure off us rushing Vicario back as well and aggravating that same injury, and you know, having somebody only come back for a couple of games. From the highlight package that I saw of him, and we've got to take those with a pinch of salt too, He looks like a very kind of almost Cudicini-esque, very cat-like, very, you know, he's a shot stopper, got good reflexes, good reactions, but that was just from a 4-minute highlight package. So there's not much you can garner from that. But from what I heard again from this morning, I think out of 19 games, he's had 12 clean sheets. So he's been playing regularly. He's not a backup to a backup. So all of those things are positive for us. And for his first game, I would target the Tamworth game. I would target that game to bring him in. It gives him a week of training, and it also kind of doesn't put him in the pressurized pressure cooker that is a semi-final against Liverpool. So I'd probably go with Austin with that. But for those that need to come in, this is I'm hoping that this is the start of something. You know, yes, you can't buy 2 defenders because, like Johnny said earlier, you know, you buy 2 defenders and then what happens when everybody's back and then who's playing, who's not, etc. But you could bring in at least 1 defender on loan potentially, or somebody who you would like to be that left centre back, you know, that we were looking for as well. So maybe you can make a move there. But yeah, I think an attacker is another one that I'd like to see in. There's a lot I'd like to see in, Chris. You know, there's a lot. I think we need help. And a left back as well. Left back would be fantastic to get in as well.
Ricky, on the goalkeeping situation, like Craig just mentioned there, are you surprised that Ange Postecoglou has not given, or it just appears to be that he doesn't really give youth a chance? Because when Daniel Levy originally appointed Ange Postecoglou, one of the things he said is, you know, Ange Postecoglou is very much about the youth development. Now, when you look at some of the young goalkeepers that we've got, like if you were them right now, Luca Gunter, for example, in the under-21s, playing extremely well, played extremely well last season when we won 2 trophies with the under-21s. You've got Josh Keeley out on loan, playing extremely well for Leyton Orient at the moment. If you are them, how would you be feeling right now?
I think goalkeeping, and I think all goalkeepers know it, is one of the toughest positions. I mean, Austin's a great example of somebody who hasn't had that many loans, who hasn't had that much experience. He has gone out on loan, but he hasn't had that many. I don't think he's had as many as needed, really. But these boys are out on loan right now, and that gives an opportunity at first team football, which I think is fantastic. But there is encouragement there. You know, we've seen Mikey Moore come onto the field at 17. You know, you have seen some of the young ones come in. He has trusted the youth. I mean, look at today's lineup. You know, so there is glimmers of help. There is glimmers of hope there. But for a goalkeeper, it is very, very tough. So for them, I wouldn't worry too much right now. Their future will be sorted either which way. As long as they keep out on loan and they keep playing, I think it's very, very positive for us and for them. If it comes to the point where they're doing so well that we have to bring them in to the first team and the first team squad, then fantastic for us. If it gets to the point that they're doing well, but we're fully stocked, then we get a good transfer fee for him, and maybe we get a buyback clause, etc. But I think right now, the future, they don't have to worry about. What I would say to them is carry on doing what you're doing, carry on concentrating on your game, carry on, keeping your focus on whichever team that you're at right now on loan, and keep your focus on good performances, clean sheets, and making an impact. And if you keep your head in the game and keep your head in the present, the future will take care of itself.
So last question for you all. Of course, we face Liverpool in the Carabao Cup semi-final, first leg on Wednesday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Johnny, let's start with you. I suppose it's not really what Ange Postecoglou should do. It's what is going to be fit and available to him on Wednesday. I suppose it's more about what team Liverpool are going to put out.
Yeah, I think they'll put out a strong team, and I think Salah will play as well. I don't think he'll put Salah on the bench. If Salah starts, I think we're in big trouble because he's just in so much form, and obviously we have a depleted back line, so they'll be very hungry. And you know, if I'm being honest, I don't think we're going to win either of the 2 legs. And look, it's just the way things are. The Liverpool are in such big form at the moment, and I'd love us to win a trophy. I really would, but I just don't see it happening at the moment. I see Liverpool, like, it's at Spurs, I think, at our ground first, so I think they'll probably win 3-1 or something like that. But It's the one at the Cop, we're facing them in Anfield. That's going to be even harder. So if we can get a result in the first leg, if we get a draw, we can take it to Anfield and try and build on it. You never know. In anything can happen, but it's just the form Liverpool are in at the moment, and they're scoring a lot of goals. So and just the style of play we have at the moment, we just are a little open at the back. So I think that suits Liverpool. And in the last game we played against them, you can see that they were able to score goals against us. We got chances against them, but ultimately they're top of the league at the moment, and for a reason. It just depends what will happen with the Gunners game as well. So if we can get a result against Liverpool, takes the pressure off Ange. If we lose that, pressure's on again. But look, it's hard to know in cup competitions. We just have to get a good start. We're good at starting games. We always get off to a flyer. If we can get 1-0 up, just put them under a bit of pressure, things could change and go in our favour.
Johnny, do you want to give us a score prediction for this game?
Yeah, I think I'll go Spurs 1, Liverpool 3.
Craig, let's come to you. What do you think was going to happen on Wednesday? I suppose, like I said, Ange Postecoglou probably at this stage don't know who's going to be fit, available, well.
Yeah, that's what a situation to be in. I'm not holding out a massive amount of hope for Wednesday, to be honest with you. I think the only chance we've got of getting anything out of the game is if Liverpool do rotate a little bit and perhaps play a weakened team, if that is possible for Liverpool. So I'm going to give you 2 score predictions. If Liverpool go full strength, I don't think we've got a chance. I think we'll probably lose 2 or 3-1. If Liverpool rotate, I think we might sneak a draw. And then hopefully, if we can have nothing worse than a draw going back to Anfield in February, hopefully we'll have some players back and we can have a shot at it. But yeah, I'm not holding out a great deal of hope, even though this is a semi-final and you just never know in cups. But I think it's going to be a big ask for us to do anything against Liverpool, this current Liverpool team and the state we're in. Full strength Tottenham, it would be a different prediction, but I just can't see it at the moment, sadly.
So Liverpool in the FA Cup have Accrington and Stanley. That is on the Saturday, the 11th. So before that, of course, they face Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the first leg. Well, what I was going to ask, Craig, is do you think that they will go full strength? Because I know a lot of people have been saying it is all about the Premier League and the Champions League to them. And also, the second leg takes place 4 weeks later, which could do us a favour if we could remain in the tie by having a decent scoreline in that first leg. Perhaps we could go to Anfield, and then they would be forced into a lot of changes. But do you feel that they would be forced into a lot of changes when they've just got to play Accrington in the FA Cup at home?
Yeah, I think haven't they got United tomorrow?
They have.
I think. Yeah. So they've got a tough game tomorrow. Well, they won't see it as tough the way, man, you're a basket case as much as we are. But tough. They're going to go full strength tomorrow, you'd think. So, I mean, it might be that they might see it as an opportunity. I don't think they're going to go full strength on Wednesday against us.
The only reason I say that is because Arne Slot, of course, is his first season, and he is going to want to put a trophy in the cabinet as soon as possible, isn't he?
He is. Perhaps I'm just out of hope more than anything else. But Mo Salah's on form. We're going to be in trouble, as Johnny said. Phenomenal player, but yeah, I mean, if they do rotate a little bit on Wednesday, I think they might rotate a little bit Wednesday. I don't think you're going to see a complete and utter change of team because, like you say, they've got Accrington, Stanley in the FA Cup, and they're going to get past them regardless of who they put out. But I'd imagine they'll play a few kids in that one. But I think the only hope we've got at the moment is having a semi-positive result, if that's the right way to say it. So nothing worse than a draw on Wednesday against Liverpool to stand a chance of getting through to the final. Having said that, if we get through to the final and we beat Liverpool, I think we'll win it. But I think this is going to be the game.
Ricky, what are you thinking ahead of this one?
I know that the boys will be up for a fight. I know that they'll go out there and give it everything. I know that they will go and play and be up for it and go for the goals and try and get that positive result, try and get that turnaround, try and make all of us a little bit more happier than we are. You know, Liverpool are a dynamite team, not only the best in this country, but the best in Europe, arguably. You know, I'm sure they've been unbeaten in the Champions League. So, and when we came up against them, you know, they were phenomenal. Salah was absolutely world class when he played us. Trent Alexander-Arnold was phenomenal. You know, Szoboszlai in midfield, really, really good. They're another team that are in form, in their momentum, have got their real strong elements, all playing key parts and being involved in key moments. They've also got danger off the bench as well. You know, they can interchange, and you know, Craig talks about rotation. You know, some of their rotation options are phenomenal too. So it's going to be a really, really tough game, but I know that we're going to be up for it. And if the footballing gods out there have got any sympathy at all, do you know what I mean? If there's any fairness at all, they will just let us have a bit of the rub of the green. I don't want all of the green. I just want a bit of the rub of the green come that semi-final against Liverpool. But I will always, even in the darkest moments, Chris, you all know me, and whoever's listened to me over the years has known, even in the darkest moments, I don't back my team to lose. I just can't say it. I can never bring myself to say it. So for me, even though it's really unlikely, I'm going to go with a 4-2 win to Tottenham. Why not?
Okay.
What do you think, Chris? What do you think?
I'm going to say the same as what I've said for the last 3 weeks. No idea. No idea. You know, it is a cup competition. Anything can happen. Let's see who comes back. If any players come back for Wednesday, let's see what team Slot puts out for Wednesday. It's going to be an interesting one. But I know Ricky said he wants the rub of the green. I just want a trophy. It's been far too long. You know, you never know. You never ever know in this game. A report has just been published by various newspapers in Czech Republic, and they have stated that Daniel Levy has been in Prague this week to negotiate the deal for goalkeeper Kinski. So he is responsible for this deal happening. There are a couple of comments that we need to go through very quickly. Craig, I'm going to give you one each. Craig, this one's for you. Orkan writes here, ref awful today. Injury situation ridiculous. Fair points. However, Ant Postecoglou is stubborn and frustrates me. Why not give fringe and young players a go? Keeps playing players like Timo Werner, Spence, Reguilon, and then he writes Austin, all good. Do you want to react to that one?
I think he is giving fringe players a go because we haven't got a bloody choice at the moment, to be honest with you. I don't know what fringe players that you're talking about that you'd want to go. I think they're all. I agree with Werner. It was a bit of a funny one today, but you've got to give Sonny a rest. He's obviously saving him from the Liverpool game. So I get the frustrations with Ange, but I think it goes deeper than that. It's one for another podcast, but it's clear to me that he's got to be backed in this window, and we've got to get players in. We're desperate for players to come in, and probably a few that still need to go out. That's the main thing for me. He needs to be backed, and I don't think you can pass judgment on somebody until he's been fully backed and he's got the squad he wants. Look, we're still in all 4 competitions, albeit we're not winning the league. I know that, but you know, we've got to give the man some slack. That's my opinion on it. I know a few people want him out. That's your opinion. Fine. I don't. I think I'm still behind him, and I still want him to succeed at this club.
Johnny, I'm going to give you this one because this one's aimed at you. Orkan writes here, Johnny, ridiculous comment. Of course, Daniel Levy and the board are responsible. They always foul back in managers. Under Pochettino, no new players for 2 seasons. If top 6 quality players needed, then buy 1 or 2, rest. They buy kids.
Yeah, look, I mean, listening to everybody, Ange is great and Ange is fantastic and everyone's happy to have Ange there. Daniel Levy brought Ange in, you know, I mean, like, I don't know what he thinks. Like I'm making ridiculous comments. Like I just saying it the way I see it doesn't mean I'm right. But why is Daniel Levy over in the Czech Republic?
He's on holiday.
Is that well? I don't know. Why is he doing the deal? Like, I didn't think that'd be up to him to do that. It just seems a bit strange. Like, is he picking the players or something? I don't know. It just seems a bit odd. I don't know. I'm not too sure the guys from Fenway Sports would be over in Prague, trying to sign a Liverpool player or something. It just doesn't seem right. I would imagine someone else in management within the club itself will go over and do that. Just a bit odd. But anyway, look, the younger players at Spurs, they have to get a chance. Daniel Levy always wanted young players either they come from the academy or they try and introduce them and make them star players. The issue is if one or two of them do become star players, they end up being sold on for big money. You've seen that in the past, and it does happen. So the culture of the club has always been to sign young players or to have them in the club. But at the end of the day, look, Ange Postecoglou won the Scottish Premiership. But what did he do before that? It's not like a really successful manager before that. So you could also argue the fact that they took a punt on taking him on board. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things that are wrong. There's a lot of things that we can all disagree on and agree on. But I think it's a bit unfair to say making ridiculous comments. I mean, I think I'm just saying the way I see it. I think judging by the comments, 50% of people agree with me. But again, you're not going to get everyone to agree with you.
Johnny, this is the way it is. Even during this podcast, I even got told off by one of the viewers for asking a ridiculous question just about the league position. So there we are. I'm going to ask one more question. This one's to you, Ricky, because I know when I get the hint from Craig when he starts tidying out his office drawers that we've got to go. So, Ricky, this one is also from Orkan. Orkan, thank you so much for all of your comments today. Agree with Ricky. Nobody could foresee the injury crisis. But even before that, we've been awful defending in many games, awful at set pieces, defending and attacking. Maybe Ange needs better coaches to help him.
I think that's you can I think it's a fair comment to kind of bring up the quality of coaches. It's well known that whenever he goes somewhere, he goes without a team, and he picks up coaches and new fresh coaches, and that has kind of worked for him as well. So I mean, if they wanted to pick up a couple more coaches that are better qualified or whatever the case may be, I think it's a
It's weird though, Rick, isn't it? Don't you think that's weird? Sorry, mate, just to jump in. Don't you think I always thought that was a bit strange about Ange, that he hasn't got his own sort of team and entourage around him. That most of them have, like Poch and Mourinho and Conte. I always found that a bit strange, but like you say, if it's worked for him, it's worked for him.
Yeah, I mean, look here. We have 6 coaches: Raymondo, Montgomery, Birch, Mason, Wells, and Jedinak. Now,
Raymondo, Raymondo, I love that.
I can't help it, bro. I always think about all the fools, the great Raymondo. Raymondo and Montgomery, we don't know too much about, but I think Montgomery he worked with before, or one of them he worked with before.
You said we weren't crying.
Yeah. So we do have some coaches. We don't know, what type of coaches they are.
They do a lot of good work on the green glass of Hotspur.
I'm trying to answer this question.
Sorry.
All right, no, that was great. Well done. But you talk about set pieces and stuff like that, and especially before December, I had seen an improvement in the set pieces department, defending them and scoring them. Scoring from corners, scoring from free kicks. It's not been great, but it's definitely been an improvement on what we've done. So there has been slight changes in there. But again, when it comes down to defending as well, like when every week a defender goes on the injury list, it is going to be a tougher task, I suppose. So yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy old season. It's just been a crazy old season. So I have seen improvements this season from last season under Ange. Little tweaks here and there, but I think with this whole kind of tornado storm that we've hit, it's hard to see those right now.
Craig, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I'm so sorry it's gone on for over 2 hours. I'll tell you what, we know we've had a poor result, and we know we're in a bit of a crisis when we have a podcast over 2 hours after a game. So apologies for taking up so much of your time. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your weekend somehow. But thank you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, it's always difficult to come on when we're in this situation, but we've been here before and we'll be here again, no doubt, but we will get through it and we'll come out the other side stronger. Thanks to the over 2,200 of you listening to us bang on. Amazing that you're all still with us and want to listen to it. As I've said before, it's cathartic. It's probably a bit of therapy for you. So I hope we've done that a little bit tonight. And on to the next one. If people want to follow me, at Dearman9 on X, Craig Dearman9 on Insta. So thank you very much. See you again on the next one.
Thank you, Craig. And Johnny, thank you so much. And please don't worry about people disagreeing with you because, that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about opinions. And I don't feel like any of us are ever wrong. It's how we feel.
Absolutely. And look, it's the way of the world at the moment. We just have to hope now something good happens in the Liverpool game, and it would be great to get to a final. Imagine how exciting that would be. It'd be nerve-wracking as well, but at the same time, it'd be fantastic to be in the final. I don't know if that happens in May or whatever it is, but or April or whatever. But it'd be just great to be involved in it. Just in where they can find me, I'm on X, formerly Twitter, at Johnny Bowe 1, and they can follow me there. I'm also on Q102 here in Dublin, and do a show at the weekends. That's it.
Thank you, Johnny. Look forward to seeing you on here again very soon. And Ricky, thank you so much. As usual, you were a bit prickly today, same as me last week, but this is what Spurs do to us.
It does it to you, man. It does it to you. And Johnny and all the fans around the world that feel a different way. Again, I reiterate what Chris said there. I don't believe that you're wrong, and I'm not. It's just an emotional thing. It does it to you, man. And I love Johnny to bits. I've got so much love for Johnny. Always love his views, and we've been on many shows together. So, yeah, it gets you, man. It gets you. This team gets you. It gets you in the soul. And when every result and every day means so much to you, when you read everything and you invest everything and you get to come on and talk about, Spurs every couple of days. It does. It's going to get to you. And like Craig was saying there are brighter days ahead. There really is. There's so many good things that are happening that are being overshadowed by really, really unlucky results. And if we keep the faith, if we keep believing, I think the smiles will be back sooner rather than later. So always a pleasure coming on. Thank you to everyone around the world that have been watching and listening to us. Sending you all big love. Happy New Year out to all of you. I know it's a crazy start to the new year, but it will get brighter, and it's always a pleasure, like I say. So big love out to you, Chris. I know you got a bit of a drive home now. Not too far though, Rav. And Craig and Johnny, always a pleasure, gents. So yeah, thank you. And we'll get there. We will get there.
Thank you, Ricky. Craig, Johnny, Ricky, thank you so much for your time this evening. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. And thanks so much for all of your continued support. And as Ricky said, hopefully the smiles will be back sometime soon. And hopefully some of our players will be back soon as well for Ange Postecoglou. We will see you on another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast after the Liverpool game, when hopefully we've got at least half a smile. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.